So this started off with this. So does anyone recognise that? Right, that's waste. I've deliberately not used an NHS facility for this, but this is an NHS facility around the world, and we started off with thinking we need to do something about this. So if you don't know the statistics, between the construction industry and the NHS, we contribute 33% of the UK's waste. So we thought we had to do something about this. And I've recently been at a meeting with Swansea University, the brightest PhD candidates around the table, 20 of them, and I said, are you happy with the world that you live in? So are you happy generally with the world that you live in? So this is crowd participation, because you're about to eat lunch, okay? Who's happy with the world that they live in? Put your hands up if you're happy about the world. And that's exactly what they said, right? And the point being is, if you're not happy about the world, what the bloody hell are you doing about it then, in reality, okay? So it started off with this, and we did the usual thing on a wet day in the National Botanic Gardens about 12 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that. And we had the usual thing is, who wants to put a project forward? And you've all been to school, I hope, in some kind of way, okay? So you know when you stand up in the schoolyard and somebody wants to play a game and the captains are there and they ask who wants to be in the team, and you end up being the last person in the team? That this idea was the last one in the team, right? So we had Billy No Mates working with us. Some of the other groups who are sitting here smugly in front of us, okay, had loads of people in there, okay? We had very few. And this is where we started this journey from. And what I'm about to tell you is a journey that started off in the National Botanic Gardens, which will end in its new beginning in September as an address to the UN at the Sustainable Development Group meeting in New York in September, right? So that's the journey that I'm about to take. And it takes me across country and across international jurisdictions from Dubai, Oman, Kuwait, India, Colombia, Chile, Brazil, parts of the US, okay, into where we're actually going to get to, and I'll talk about that in a minute, okay? So this was described, you see the little acorns tree? This is a story of the little acorns. So the realisation of what we're talking about is that this is all about planning and design thinking, okay? And this is actually me being very dangerous in Cardiff, taking a picture of the van in front of us. Can anyone tell me what's wrong with that picture? Apart from all of it, right? Why would anyone put a windscreen wiper on a screen that actually can't get dirty and you can't see at the back of, right? And that summarises where we're at actually with all of this, which is our design thinking is entirely shot. We aren't actually thinking about anything that we do things, and we just got into doing them because that's what we did yesterday, okay? So my first observation is a plea. Think outside the box that people have put you in, because if you don't, you'll never get outside of that box, okay? So that picture told me a story, and I presented this at a meeting that we had in a roundup of where we got to, okay? The first thing that you've really got to think about is what you think you're designing something for and how it relates to how you plan to do anything in any aspect of life. And the other thing is, look at where we're trying to really get to, right? So if our main thing is to improve the health, well-being and wealth of our population, are we really designing stuff around us that actually contributes to that? And if so, which parts of this entire ecosystem are we trying to actually affect in reality? And are we really doing what we said we're doing, okay? And I'll take a little bit about the previous presentation about buildings and the built environment in particular, because our view, and I'll talk a little bit about where we've got to, is that the built environment doesn't get anywhere near where we need to get to, even with the federation of some of the technologies on engineering construction that are actually happening. And I'll tell you what's actually happening as well. So, which bits are we really trying to take off? And the other thing is, in order to do it, you have to science the shit out of the problem, okay? So apparently, right, we are an advanced species that's managed to dominate the world because we're clever and we think about things, okay? But with that brings a sense of apathy because we think we've done it all. And we actually haven't done it all, because unless you science the hell out of a problem, okay, we don't get anywhere, really. So think about that. And it brings me back to this, which is one of the most influential films I've seen lately, okay? So when you have nothing in a hostile environment, your only option is to science the hell out of the problem, okay? And we just don't do that enough. We don't think about the design thinking purpose about what we're doing. So that's my next observation is, take time to reflectively think about what you're actually trying to do and how technology, innovation, research and development, all of which we've got lots of in Wales just in the beginning of it, we could do if only we sat down and had the time to think about what we were doing. And this is where we've come to. So we started off trying to resolve the use of health-related media, and we've got to this, which is actually I'm going to ask you a question. How much time do you think you live in a built environment? And by a built environment, I mean live in your house, stay in your house, in a place of work, in a public space, right? Anyone like to give me a percentage of their time?
85%.
Sorry?
85%.
You have read something, because that's remarkably close. Okay? Any advances on 85? No? It's actually 87%. So if you live to be 80, you'll spend 72 years of your life in a built environment, right? Where do you spend another 6% of your life?
Sleep.
In the car. No, you're sleeping, hopefully, unless you're sleeping outdoors. Come on, you're sleeping in your house, aren't you? Or somewhere. Or in somebody else's house. I don't know. Not pejorative, right? So unless you design this for the health and wellness of people, right, it is not a surprise that we're spending £9 billion on the health service. It is not a surprise, okay? And when I mean we do not go far enough into how we build the built environment, right? We have an excellent presentation from Jonathan about some of the buildings that have been built up in Swansea, okay? So, look around the place around you, okay? This looks like a nice room, doesn't it? Who says it's a nice room? Yeah? Nice room, right? How do you know that the air that you're breathing at the moment isn't actually causing you a problem? How do you know that? Sorry? This is crowd participation before your lunch. How do you know that? You don't know it. And why don't you know it? Because there's no sensors around you telling you what's happening to your air quality, right? How do you know? So I'm suspecting that there's some PFAS in this material that you're standing on, okay? PFAS is polyfluoroalkyl, okay? They do it because the vinyl was banned, because it creates bad chemicals, okay? That creates a chemical in there that never disappears from the supply chain, right? And the biodiversity, okay? It stays here forever. Problem is it gets ground down and you breathe it, okay? So as you're staying in this room, you're probably becoming more plastic as we speak, okay? How do you know that? You don't know, right? Because our buildings aren't federated with sensors that tell you about air quality, right? What happens if you walk to a building and it told you it was breaching 7 European standards for air quality? Right? As a person, would you want to stay in that room, or would you walk out, or would you complain to the building owner? Right? We don't know stuff about what's happening to us because we can't measure it, but we can actually measure it because it needs to be federated into the building and design construction of the places we call home, the places we call work, and the places that we actually live in and spend our leisure time in, because it is a duty, and I'll talk about this. So we've also been working with the House of Lords. So this journey takes me to the House of Lords, the House of Commons, yeah, and other places. There is a bill that's currently going through first reading in the House of Lords called the Healthy Homes Bill, okay? I've talked to Welsh Government about this, and actually we want to accept it as part of our air quality and our wellbeing of future generations legislation, because it enshrines the requirement legally for builders to build according to 11 design principles in there, which includes air quality and actually includes designing health and wellness into the way that you design and construct your engineering around building your house. Because unless you look at energy, and unless you look at food, and unless you look at engineering and construction, you're not actually materially changing the ability for your population to live well and live wealthy. You're not doing that, okay? And it goes back to the design thinking and planning. So, that's my dog, right? She's called Coco, and that's the face that she gives when she drops a toy and says, what are you going to do about it, right? Because it comes down to this. So, does anyone know what the rate of inflation is today?
10%.
It's not. It's not 11. Come on. It's 10.4% today, right? So, on a £9 billion budget, which is what health and social care currently costs us, okay, this year, we're paying £9,468,000,000. So it's gone up by almost £500 million just to the rate of inflation. So unless this becomes an economic reality, which is we need to build this and it can't cost us any more to build it and federate all the technology in, it's not embedded in economic reality. So what I'm about to tell you is what we're doing about it. So in conjunction with a whole range of partners, so Jonathan mentioned Swansea City region, yeah? I was in a meeting on Wednesday, okay, with £1.3 billion of investment in that room with 20 industry and private finances, okay? All of whom are targeted around the following. Building 1,200 houses in Newport with this technology built in there, designed around the health and well-being of the people who are going to use the building, yeah? Social housing through one of the registered state landlords. The redevelopment of Pill, which is both domestic and commercial. One school and 2 healthcare facilities built like this, specifically designed around the health and wellness of the people using the building, federating modern technologies, including energy, food, building construction and materials, sensor design, data and data analytics, okay? So I was also at a Cardiff Business School meeting talking about what the exportable areas for Welsh business are going to be, and they talk about the usual thing, compound semiconductors, yeah, and cyber security now, okay? I think this is the next big thing that Wales can actually put a badge on. And actually, if you talk to international markets, Dubai, the whole of the UAE, India, most of Latin America, have got massive infrastructure projects that they actually want to apply this design thinking to. So, I am talking to you about a story from a company that's got less than 4 full-time employees. Put your hands up. They're sat here, okay? Effecting change in collaboration with industry and with partners to change the way that people in Wales will live, to monitor it in a way that we can see the impacts of it across communities and societies, and to build a better Wales through engineering and construction. So that's my journey. You can do the same thing. You can get involved. Thank you very much.